Hi everyone. Today on our show we have Supriya Sahai, who is a certified life and transition coach. She's also the author of Gadget Less in the lives of young children aged 0 to 14 years. Let me read for you a little bit about this book. Too much of anything brings destruction and tipping off the scale on the wrong side of outcomes. Gadgets in the life of young children aged 2 to 12 are highly overrated. It has already disrupted the beautiful practice of reading and bookstores in less than 20 years. The rise of Alexa and Siri has given away the keenness children have to come and ask us about life and about its curiosities. We have all collectively created this helpless situation for ourselves and our families. We have allowed a few intelligent and self promoted individuals and companies to take away our sensibilities. Instead of feeling helpless or blaming Instead of feeling helpless or blaming outside of us, we need to choose wisely and definitely as one single community. So fret not, guys. For today, in our conversation with Shubika, we have Supriya Sahai, the guest on our show. Hi, Supriya. How are you?
Hi Shubika, I am doing very well and thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for the time that you've taken out of your busy schedule to be here today. It's an honor and it is a privilege to be in business conversation with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you finding my book and this topic relevant, and I am really excited to be here with you and share a few aspects of the book and what I do.
Perfect, perfect. So, Supriya, can you tell us a little about your background?
So I have a mix of transitions when it comes to my personal background,
Right.
my professional background. So I have been in the field of learning and development for the past 9 years now in Dubai.
Right.
And earlier to that, I was also into retail space designing. So I was heading one of the production houses here in Dubai,
Right.
which I did for 5 years. That's a little bit about my professional field. And on
Okay.
this journey of learning and development, I am also certified by one of the best coaching models globally, which is by the Coaches Institute US.
Okay.
So I get the opportunity to coach professionals on life and career clarity.
Right.
And a bit on my personal front is I'm a mother of two beautiful children. That has really helped me to write this book.
Amazing. I can't wait to find out more. So, how long have you been in Dubai for, Supriya?
We've been in Dubai for the past 10 years. This will be our 10th year.
Lovely. Okay. So, Supriya, can you tell us a little bit about your book?
All right. So this book that I've written is very specific to two age groups, which is from 2 to 7 and then 7 to 14. So it's a very specific book. So a lot of books that were there in the market were catering in general about how gadgets are harmful for young children. But what I really felt the gap was in that there was nothing specific to cater for two very specific age groups.
Right.
Because the challenges and the situations for children between 2 to 7 are going to be very different from the challenges parents face with children between 7 to 14.
I agree.
And that's exactly where I wanted to share all the things that I have been doing on my journey since the past 6 years with my own children.
Right. First hand.
Yes, absolutely, first hand. Yes.
Being a mom, I resonate completely with what you're saying, and also battling the issue at home. I think all of us as parents face that, right?
Yes.
Where we're trying to strike a balance between the gadgets for what we need and also being able to spend time with our kids in the most essential way. So thank you. I think you would definitely be able to throw some light upon the topic, and our viewers will also be able to take note from what you're saying. So where did you get your inspiration, Supriya, for writing this book?
I got the inspiration back in 2017 when
Right.
I started vocally sharing
Right.
this at various platforms in Dubai, and a lot of talk and event shows that I was going. So instead
Right.
of just me promoting myself and my business, I just felt this need to discuss this topic, because at that point of time in 2017 2018
Right.
there was no one talking about how gadgets are really not as much needed in the young minds or for the
Correct.
life of young children. And when I started sharing this on these platforms, I started getting a lot of traction from parents.
Okay.
And that gave me the nudge that there is an audience
Right.
who is feeling that this is not good for my children
Right.
in the long term, but what do I do? So
Right.
the why was very clear, as the why was very clear to me as a mother, but then what do you do about it?
Right.
And that's where I felt that I needed to write a book. And what I started doing then was I started writing down every
Right.
single thing that I was doing with my own children.
Right. So not only do you have a flair for writing, because I've read the book. I'll be honest, I didn't read the entire book, but I definitely did get the chance to go through it, and I can see that you have a very good flair for writing, and not just that, the passion involved in putting this book together is very evident from merely going through your book. So if I have to dive into it and read it, there's so much more to it, and I can see that you've been very involved. So I believe you were sitting at a cafe and you'd pen down your notes and things like this, right?
Yes.
So how long did it take you, Supriya, from the time you thought of putting this book together to the time you published it?
Yeah. So I started actually sitting down, and so I love writing, as you're
Right.
saying. I just it's like WhatsApping for
Right.
people. People love to WhatsApp. I love
Right.
to WhatsApp inside of me, and bring
Right.
out those ideas.
Right.
And I started like really I committed to write this book by around the July of 2019.
Right.
That was the time when I really gave myself the permission that this is my priority, and I'm going to really write this book. And then, of course, then 2020, the pandemic arrived. That was in March.
Right.
And because I'm a very goal-oriented person, I had planned this for the last months of 2020. But then I flipped my funnel and I completed the book by May
Okay.
2020.
Okay.
Yeah, so a couple of months.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Amazing. I've always also wanted to one day write my own book, so I'm definitely taking a lot of inspiration from you. So how did you choose your publishing house, and how did you go about everything?
So I think the search for the publishing house was, I think, a process of 60 or 70 days where I was reaching out. So there was a mastermind that I was a part of, and I started sharing that there is a book that I'm writing,
Right.
and I want to now speak to a few publishers. And so that took me a while, where I had created a synopsis and I started sharing
Right.
that synopsis with a few publishing houses. But because I'm from a design background, I wanted that control of illustrations, because the book has a lot of illustrations in it.
Yes, yes.
Just for keeping the concepts very simple for parents to also discuss with their children. And that's why I kept that part with me.
Right.
And I went with Notion Press, because they gave me the freedom that,
Right.
okay, you can do this on your own, and
Right, right,
we'll be
right.
the platform that you can publish.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for that, Supriya. That's important even for authors in our audience, or budding authors, to know how they can go about publishing their book. Perfect. Also, Supriya, why do you think gadgets were even made in the first place?
That's a great question. I just love this question. And there are two parts
Right.
to this question.
Huh.
As I was also doing a research
Right.
on my book, that where did this need for screens come in the life of young children? So even before that, if you just see the evolution of gadgets,
Right.
based on my research, is just a accidental innovation which happens by one individual getting passionate about something.
Correct.
One individual gets passionate about, for example, television. In the late 1930s, someone got passionate about television, and they saw that a 50 million seed has to be given to this innovation, because the politicians and the leaders at that time felt that this was a natural transition to go from radio to visuals to inspire and motivate masses. And that's how I just see that even though gadgets are usually created to ease out certain lifestyle areas of human beings,
Yes.
and at the same time they're still accidental. When you look at in the hindsight, it's
Correct.
usually the passion of one person, and that is sometimes also blown out of proportion. And for us to bring balance, I think, yes, that's a good question to keep asking.
Right.
That why were gadgets really created? That's a good space for you to start and even bring this question down to children, because coming to that, iPads or mobiles for young children was also an accidental innovation by Apple.
Okay.
And that's why iPads were never promoted through the mainstream marketing.
Okay.
iPad always was promoted as an educational app provider through schools and universities.
Right.
Because by then, in the late 90s and early 2000, the reason why Apple decided to go this way was because the aspirational adults were still taking loan to buy a mobile and laptops.
Right.
So there was no market for another expensive product. So that's a good question that you've asked, so that we can keep questioning that, okay, is this gadget really for my child, or this was just a marketing genius?
Correct.
And then use intelligently for your family.
Yes, yes. To just add to what you're saying, Supriya, I think that gadgets were made to simplify our lives, right? They were definitely made to simplify our lives. However, we as people tend to be out of balance sometimes. We can't, rationalize the things we do. We get too consumed by technology, and I think children see that in us, and they also follow the imbalance that they see in their parents, and they replicate the same thing. So I think striking a balance is important, and I think the mother and the father of the house and the elderly people at home, if they can see this and acknowledge the fact that there needs to be balance in everything, and then we can see harmony, I think that's a good starting point.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So Supriya, your book says gadgetless in the lives of young children aged 0 to 14. So why 0 to 14 particularly?
Yeah. So why 0 to 14 has, one of the reasons that I can share with you is that the biological clock of a child in terms of their mind is yet not developed to really handle the addiction that comes when they are on gadgets. I'll just give you a very simple example. For example, in an adult life, when you are screen binging, like, let's say Netflix, or you're going on Instagram because you've had a tough day and you just want to unwind, because there are a lot of tough things that you don't want to just deal with yet. So let me just open Netflix and, just get on with some net surfing. Now, your cognitive, your prefrontal cortex, which we call in a very simple language, your emotional brain has developed as an adult. And that's why while you're net binging and trying to escape or distract yourself, you can still imagine that after this part of screen binging, I have to go out and perform certain real life duties for my family, for my career, for my profession, because that part of your brain has evolved. When you see children between the age of 0 to 14 and you introduce gadgets in the name of educating them or providing them information for longer durations of time, you are giving the screen to a child whose abstract brain and the ability to imagine future problems has not yet developed at all. And that's the reason why a lot of adolescents and teenagers make so many mistakes in their life. And this part of your brain is only developed by the age of 26. It's not even 18 years. And that's why you will see the trail of good decision making in your own life, when you look back, happens when you are reaching 30. Because that part of your brain has developed by then. And that's why this book is written for specifically 0 to 14, so that you are able to handhold your child in the time and age that this part of their brain is not developed at all. They cannot foresee something that they have to do later on. So they are just in the moment, they are having fun, even though you have made this belief around it that, I am educating my child because my child is on an educational app. For them, it is still entertainment, because they don't know that 15 years from now, I have to do so and so that I can provide for my family.
Right, right.
So that's one of the reasons I can share, and there are a lot of reasons in the book itself that, if you have the interest, people can go through and understand.
Perfect, perfect. Coming to our last and the most important question, Supriya. Any tips that you have for parents in our audience, and for everyone to know, how do we overcome this imbalance?
Yeah.
Any tips that you can share with the audience, please?
So there are a lot of tips and a lot of ways that you can reduce and prevent, which is already mentioned in the book.
Okay.
A few that I can share, especially for parents who are already seeing that their child is overly dependent on gadgets, or they are overly dependent on you when you take away their gadgets. First of all is that you take small steps. So for example, if your child outside their school time is, say for example, 2 or 3 hours on their screens doing whatever they are doing in their leisure time, don't reduce a full 1 hour from their screen time. Reduce smaller chunks, 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Right.
And do that consistently, not for 10 days, 21 days. Do it consistently for 6 months or 3 months. Right. And please do not overfill that 20 minutes with your presence or some other DIY craft activity, because the idea is that gradually you're able to make your child self-dependent. They're not dependent on you or anything outside of them to feel in balance and to feel happy and satisfied in their life. So first is take it slow. And another tip that I can give for parents to reduce and prevent gadget dependency is, do not compare your gadget use with your child's gadget use. So for example, there's a lot of guilt we all carry that, I'm on my gadget, so how do I say no to my 5-year-old child? And my invite to you is to ask that, will you ask your 5-year-old child to stand up and cook a meal every single day? Because your child is seeing you do that as well every single day. Getting up, making a meal, or ironing your clothes. And so the same way is the use of gadgets in their lives. You cannot compare your gadget usage to the usage of a 5-year-old child or a 12-year-old child. So be mindful of that and have fun with just being with your children.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Supriya. Thank you for your time and this lovely conversation. That's been amazing and so lovely to be in conversation with you. Thank you so much, Supriya, for coming on to our show. We hope that through what we've done today, we've been able to send a message across to people. And how do people reach out to you? Do they send you a DM? How do they get in touch with you for further, to get to know more about Gadget Less?
So they can reach out through my website, which is www.supriyasahai.org. And all my contact details are mentioned on the website.
Right.
And I also have an Instagram handle by the name of Supriya Sahai Official. I'll be more than happy if anyone wants to reach me out to discuss this topic.
Perfect. Thank you, Supriya. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure, Shubika.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for always tuning in and for sharing your love through all your likes, subscribing to us on our social media channels. It has been absolutely lovely having Supriya. If you enjoyed this as much and want to know more about her book, please do check on Amazon.com. Her book is available on Amazon. And over the next few shows, we will also be giving away her book. So stay tuned. Don't forget to spread the word, like, subscribe, and follow us on all our social media channels. Goodbye and take care.